Alright, so here we are 10 minutes later. I ran them through 2 cycles, and if you can see, that water is not very dirty. So this carb was pretty clean when it comes down to it. But it's looking pretty good at this point. Oh, nice. Everything looks good. The outside looks real nice. I wonder if I can read what it says. It says, Reto Rui Ing. There's something stamped right there, but I can't read it. I can't say I've seen this car before, but it's pretty standard. I mean, they're all the same when it comes down to it. So, let's get our jets back in. Emulsion tube, main jet. Now, down the road, this engine ever gets like a cam in it, bigger springs, it'll probably need the typical OMB Predator 212 upgrade kit. That, and remember, this stuff all in here is brass, so that's just hand tight, not crank. You can just strip those out. I've had some old ones that were all stripped out from somebody else messing with them. But this this main carb, with my past experiences, has been okay when you go to a aftermarket air intake, remove the governor, put a header on it, you know, something better than the stock. This stock carb has done pretty good. Added springs and a cam inside. That's where I have a couple engines right now that just have the, I think it's the 36 jet and the emulsion tube that comes in that kit that I want to say is like a GX120. It's smaller motor size, but I don't know if it's bigger. You know, what's his name? Jody from ARC. He'd know. That guy knows a lot. Okay, so we got the emulsion tube back in, main jet. Let's get this little bad boy back in. That just slips right back in the little hole. That's what goes up and down and lets the bowl fill up with gas. And then when it gets low, because right now we're looking at it upside down, when it gets low, this little float lifts up, moves that pin and lets some gas in. Enough gas gets in there, so when it's sitting like that, you know, that float goes up, closes that pin. When it comes down, it'll start trickling gas back into this bowl, and that's how it's feeding the carb the whole time. It's sucking stuff up, you know, through these two holes, in through the main jet, through the emulsion tube, up into the actual throttle body. And then I have no idea what it does, except just goes fast. Oh, damn it. Oh, damn it. Are you kidding me? I'm glad it's not totally dark out here. I'll always line up, for no reason at all, the little drain screw on top of, you know, all of that stuff. So, put this back in, grab my number 10. Again, we're just gonna... Why does that happen? Anytime I put a ratcheting wrench on something, I'll put it on upside down, guaranteed. But 9 out of 10 times. Okay, so this has got a little something going on here. Did I not get... Oh, okay. So what happened, I just noticed that I bottomed out and the bowl wasn't tight on the gasket. So what the problem is, inside here, and I can see it with the sun, I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can get this preview. The emulsion tube's supposed to stick up through there, and I can see it's just flush. So I didn't get the emulsion tube back in there. It's jammed a little bit. So let's take this main jet out and get that emulsion tube dropped down. I guess I'm kind of glad that that happened. Okay, so emulsion tube goes in, and there, popped in there. I don't know if, let me see if I can get this preview window to see if you guys can see it. I'm not sure if in the sun you can see where that emulsion tube is sticking out there. I don't know. I can see it even with my bad eyes. Finally, it sticks into that throttle body area about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch. So now put main jet back in. And now that bowl screw, that number 10 millimeter. Okay, there, bottoming out, just hand tight, not too bad. And put this back. Now this will tighten down real nice and snug and feel good, and that bowl will be tight, I guarantee. Okay, so here we go here. And again, that's just cast aluminum. You can crank that out. Who cares? That's a little off. Okay. Let's put that goes down. Does that go down? It doesn't. No, it goes that way. So I can tell that's clean, that's dirty. Okay. I don't think that really matters originally, and we got craziness going on inside. I don't know what's going on. I think she's playing with the dog. Crank that down. This again should be the 10 millimeter, but it's cast, so I've seen these get stripped out quite a bit. Again, remember it's got that rubber gasket in there, so you don't have to go crazy. Put this little 4x4 piece back in there. Our on-off lever, the little round spring washer. And this always gives me a problem, always. These little screws just, for some reason, they want to be in one little spot and they never want to go in there. That one went pretty nice. That's sweet. This carb is cooperating. There's times where I mess with this for a couple minutes, like this one. Oh, and there it is. I felt it. Okay. That one went so much easier than normally. That's pretty funny. And then I've also had problems taking these screws out before. I've had to really lean into them, and you'd think that there's not a hole. Oh, look at that. Are you kidding? See? That goes there. Goofball. That's pretty typical. So I've had, like I said, I've had problems with those screws being kind of stuck in there. Trust me, I've thrown away carbs before because they were so mucked up. But ones like this, with this little reservoir, I think are just better. I'm gonna try and remember this. What is that? Rato. I kind of like it. Springs, sometimes those springs are always mucked up. This one's in good shape, man. That engine, I don't know who had it before. I don't even remember where I got it. Sure didn't look very good. That's been pressure washed off. That snapped back in there pretty nice. Sometimes those are a pain in the ass. Those are something that you can get kits for also, that sometimes the rubber rings go bad on them. If they push back in like that, I find that it's going to be just fine. This little throttle adjustment, I'm just going to right now kick it up so it opens that throttle up a hair. And not a big deal. Okay, so we got the carb cleaned. Now we're going to move over here and work on doing the little throttle that has worked out very nicely for me. Now I do enjoy taking this stock throttle plate off and making a little custom lever and doing that. OMB Warehouse has a really nice kit that goes on to like 2 screws here and has a lever, and goes, you know, you use a longer well, no, you do. I still think use the stock little throttle linkage. Those are cool, but you don't have to. Okay, so something else. Where's my number 10? You know, these things come off of generators and whatever, and they're using this throttle lever, you know, and open it up, and it stops at whatever that throttle screw is. But you know, it's got a return spring on it. But we in the mini bike world want that to, you know, open up, because we're going to end up running a throttle cable into here and pulling on this lever, whether you use a thumb throttle or a twist throttle. So what you do, just loosen that little guy up. You know, that's a good start. You don't want it so loose that it's shaking, but you want it loose enough that it's going to return with even that little spring. There are times where these springs go bad. You can end up taking another spring onto, you know, one of these things and tying it into another bolt on the side. But that's pretty good. So that's the first start. Now, what we're going to do is end up tying in this existing bend from the throttle, you know, that comes, you know, I'm going to get it down in there. Now what my object is, I want to keep that 90-degree angle horizontal, you know, make it perpendicular to the hole that it goes in. That way it doesn't have anything to ever bind up on. I've seen people that, you know, put them on an angles and, you know, they could run, but I want that to just have as little resistance horizontal. So from trial and error, I started doing this with solid core copper, you know, electrical wire to figure out that. Let me make sure that we're still, yeah. So that's the little magical piece that I did for this very old school first gen non-Hemi. It was honestly put together with spare parts. Right now we're all still dealing with this stupid COVID thing, and I've had a little extra spare time on my hands from staying at home. So this is the magical piece. So we're gonna make this, because that, check this out, this fits right in there, and then a number 10 and a Phillips. I'm gonna hold that, loosen. Oh, that's tight. Ooh. So that's never been used, but I loosen that up. Check this out. So this little combination just works, and this is totally trial and error. I'm not saying this is the best way. I'm not saying it's the only way, but what I'm saying is it is a way. And literally this dimension, I just have that coming right to the end of it, and I just hand tighten it, and look at this. Look, it doesn't touch, barely touches there if it any, but it's opening wide up, let go, and returns all the way. So that little angle, there's some compound angles there, I have no idea what they are, but I've come up with that shape, and it's worked a bunch of times. So we're going to recreate this. I'm just going to mark it, and then I go into my dinky little vise, and I'm going to bend it. I'm going to make that a little longer. Oh, that's about right. Yeah, so I'll cover that up. Now I'm going to make it. Yeah, that's about right. So this one is just a straight 90-degree up. That's pretty much straight 90-degree up. So I'm gonna turn this around and use the little part. Not a fancy vise, but I use this thing quite a bit. Okay, so no, still. I want to go. Is that? Let's see here. No, that it is. Okay. Let's go back to the one with the teeth. Now that no, I don't do this every time, but that's okay. So we're going to cover that up a hair. Go into my vise. Try and keep that parallel. Crank it down. And oh no. Okay. I know. Can I do this? Yes, I can. Here we go. Here's the ticket. So there's my mark. Okay, so that is bending this way. Okay. So it's pretty square. Let's see how we did. There have been times where I've had to do it over a couple times. I think that looks pretty good. That's a little short, so we're going to see. That still might be okay. Yeah, well, what the hell. So, yeah, that's a little short. We're going to find out if that's going to work okay. So we're going to continue. I'm sure that might be okay. I'll leave this a little long. It'll turn it out a little bit. So this angle now is a 90, and then I actually twist it because it's easier, I think, to do the 90 and then come back and twist it. All right, so we'll come this way. That's just making it hard. Here we go. My eyeballs are not that good. Alright, well, poopy doodly. There. That's still lower, right? Okay, so here we go. Okay. Where's that? So I'm going to bend this bad boy.